It ain't stock.
Oh, no.
775. All right, guys, so I'm at the Ford dealership. You saw me drive it in, and I'll tell you, it was pretty scary coming down here. Must have a lot of toe and caster, because when I go to turn a corner, that thing just, it pulls a wheel right out of your hand. So this is Randy. He runs a show here, alignment shop at Mathew's Ford. So he's gonna just check the caster and the toe on this car, because it's got fixed shims for the camber, and I don't think we're gonna need to change that. So you can see they're full house. So I don't wanna bug him. We talked about the alignment specs. I'd done alignment back in the 80s when I worked for Midas Muffler. So first time she's been on the road, it was pretty good going by the police station. I don't even think they heard me. So we'll have to check that video out later. One on the rack, less chance to get pulled over. Hey, big shout out to you, Randy. I appreciate the work you did. Now here's the front end alignment when I brought it there before they did any changes. No wonder that thing was crazy on the road trying to turn. Look at that toe. Now here's the rear, because it does a 4-wheel evaluation. Not bad. Look at that toe out. Crazy. Now here's the printed sheets before, and then here it is after. And I definitely want to get some more caster in there, positive. And here's a final reading on the computer itself. I don't know a lot of that other stuff, but you guys might get this. Now I have to see what the fuel pressure said. All right, guys, let me give you a little synopsis of the video that you've watched. Hopefully you didn't watch it all, because it was pretty poor quality, the way the camera was set up on the roll bar. It looked like it might be okay, but I was more concerned about driving and getting there without getting in trouble with the cops and having any issue. So you've seen the transmission come in and out of the car twice, and you have it apart twice. It shifts awesome. I mean, it's right there, no leaks, so I'm happy with that. You'll see on the video, you'll see the before alignment specs and then after. I didn't mess with the camber. It's got fixed shims in there. I got rid of the eccentrics a long time ago. That tore the lower control arm out on a wheel stand at one time. So I didn't mess with that. But I could benefit from more caster, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I don't have the big strut rods anymore. I have a chrome-moly rod ends to adjust the caster. So I could benefit from maybe 4 to 5 degrees more positive. So that's going to be my plan, to get some new rod ends made and then redo the alignment. But it seems pretty stable driving. I had a great time. It sounds great. People were just, they couldn't believe it when they pull up next to me. I just wish I could have better video. But one of the things I want to mention, if you watch the video at the end, you'll kind of hear something at the end where there's no fuel pump running. And I kind of beat on a little bit coming up the street. And it could be slosh, but I've had problems with that before, and actually had the foam deteriorate in the cell, so I just took it out. Made tons of runs with no fuel foam in it in the cell. Never had any issues. But I only have about 5 gallons of C12 in there, so that might be it. But I used a pump that I thought was good, seems good, runs good. But when I came back down to the driveway, you'll hear there's no fuel pump noise. So the car rolled in. It stalled and rolled in right up to the garage. So I made it home. So then I messed around. You'll see me flip it on the switch to check the fuel gauge because the pressure wasn't there. It's one of those cowl fuel gauges that's liquid filled, and those are notorious for having erroneous readings. But I like the way it looks. It's been there for 20 years. So I left it. But I also have a gauge on the fuel pump and one here on the regulator. The regulator is what I go by. That always read about 6.5 to 7. Even though that might say sometimes 8 to 8.5. And then the Barry Grant fuel pump is supposed to be 18 to 20, and it has a bypass type regulator, or bypass on the fuel pump. So I had a new gauge that I put on because I smashed the one on a wheel stand, and the gauge was reading not even normal before. I could never get it to 18 pounds. It was always about 14 or 15 and kind of erratic. And then when I came back, the thing was all over the place, and there's no way it never was like that before. So I don't know if there's an issue with the fuel pump, but I actually had put new impellers on the regular fuel pump that I had wheel stand and drug across a track. So I tested that before. That works good. So I'm going to put that back on with another gauge, just like I had before, with no issues, and then we'll check it again. But let me show you the rod ends in the front end suspension. You'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. So yeah, I got to give a big shout out to Mathew's Ford. James, the service manager there, great guy, has always helped me out. Randy, who did the alignment, and Riley, who also works as, I think, a service writer there. But I'll tell you, on the way there, when I was driving, just coming out of my driveway, as soon as you make a turn, whether direction, right or left, as soon as you get past, I don't know, halfway on the steering wheel, that thing would go, whip right out of your hands from the severe tow that it had. I mean, it scared the hell out of me a couple times. So there ain't no way I could have raced without having alignment. Appreciate you guys at Mathew's Ford. But I'll try it again. I'll make a better video because it was just poor quality the way that camera's set up. So I apologize for that. Check out the front suspension. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I got it up on the race ramps. Those things are great. If you need them, get a pair. They're great to be able to do work while it's sitting on the ground, adjust the Calatrax or whatever. But there's the custom cross member right here. You can see that in the rack unit. And then I like that tow hook. It's where I lift the car up in the front. But here's the side. So there's the bump steer tie rod end aspect. Now I had a real long one before, but my chassis guy said you don't need that. It was just there because it didn't have a shorter bolt. So I put it in the way he said, and it looks mint. There's what took place in the strut rod right there. Instead of the big old bulky strut rod with the big bushings, that's gone. All it is nice chrome-moly tubing with rod ends. But I really need about an inch longer to get more caster on it. Because you'll see all the diagrams I put in that show before and after. I thought I would only have like 1.2 degrees. I'd really like to be in the 4 to 5 range. So I think I need to make that longer. But the transmission drives great, shifts great. There's no leaks. I'm happy about that. So I'm draining the fuel back there. We're gonna try a different fuel pump. I'll take it out for another test drive and see how it goes. I'll just show you a quick video of the old Barry Grant that I ran. You can see here where I had dragged it across the track, and here's the old gauge that used to be on it. So, and that's probably what made me twist, hitting that thing, twisting and almost crashing. But here's the setup I'm gonna put on there. I tested it, works good. It's got the same gauge as I had here. This thing it's got a way better dampening in it. That other thing I have is a winner's gauge, and I think it's Chinese or something because I don't even like that thing. But there it is. I tapped the thing and it was moving around. So let's get this thing back together.